everyone, it's Hannah here from Hayden Crochet, and today I'm really excited to show you how to make my Hayden bag that I've just released. It looks really tricky. I know I always say this, it looks really tricky, but I promise it's a lot easier than it first appears. This middle section here is made up of overlay Mosaic Crochet worked in the round, which I will show you how to do. Your bottom section is really a simple rectangle and we work upwards from there. And then the top section tucks in at the sides with some super cute little ties, and then pop some handles on at the top. You can either crochet some or you can add leather ones like I've done here. You can find the pattern for free on my blog, or there is the option to purchase the PDF, and I'll put the links in the description below. And I'll also put links for all the supplies that you're going to need. So the handles, if you'd like to add those, what size hooks and what yarn and stitch markers and all that kind of stuff, I'll pop in the description so you know what you need to get. I made this bag using Cotlin, which is a DK weight yarn from We Crochet, but I'm going to show you an example in an Aran weight yarn and show you how the pattern does include the instructions for this, but show you how changing the size of your hook and the weight of your yarn can really adapt the pattern and make it to suit you. So let's get going. For the bag, the yarn that I chose to make the first sample in was Cotlin by We Crochet, which is a DK weight yarn, and you get 123 yards per 50 grams. And it's a really nice yarn to work with, but I used it double. I used it doubled throughout the pattern and with a 5.5mm hook, so an eye hook, that gave me a really nice solid bag. You can, however, use whatever yarn you like. So for this example, in this video, I'm going to show you it with Scheepjes Cahlista, which is actually an Aran weight 100% cotton, and by using a 4.5mm hook or a G+ hook, it's going to change, not drastically, but it's going to change the size of the finished bag. So hopefully this will give you some confidence to try around with different yarn sizes and hook sizes, so that you can make different shapes and sizes of bags that you'd like to. You're also going to need a pair of scissors, a stitch marker for when we start working in rounds, a needle for your ends, and I'll show you all about the bag straps later on. So for the example that I'm going to show you now, I'm actually designing it and making it for my niece, hence the colour palette. This is what she chooses, and it's all yarn from my stash and it's all Aran weight cotton. And you'll need a 4.5mm crochet hook, or the hook that will get you the tension for the pattern. However, that doesn't necessarily matter. As long as you're happy that your bag would be either a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, you go with whatever hook and yarn feels comfortable for you to make a nice solid bag. To begin the base of your bag, we are going to put a slip knot on the hook. And then we're going to chain 39. Once you've got 39 chains, we're going to start working back along that chain, and we're going to start, I like to work in the back bumps. So not as the stitch faces you here, twist it on its side and you'll see these back bumps here. And we're going to work in the second chain from the hook, and in US terms, which I'll use throughout the tutorial, we're going to work a single crochet into each back bump to the end of your foundation chain. So we made 39 chains, and so we're working from the second and each along, so you should end up with 38 single crochets at the end of row 1. For row 2, we need to turn our work, chain 1, which doesn't count as a stitch, and then we're going to simply work a single crochet into each stitch along the row. So at the end of row 2 we'll still have 38 stitches, and then what we're going to do is work 18 rows of single crochet, and that will become the base of your bag. So if you want to go ahead and work 18 rows of single crochet as I'm doing now, and then meet me back here and I'll show you how we start to work in the round and create the mosaic section too. Now that we've completed the 18 rows of the base of the bag, we now need to start working in rounds around the edge to start working up the bag. So I'll show you how to do that now. So we've come to the end of row 18, and rather than turning and carrying on, we're going to carry on around this corner and start working around the base. So carrying on in single crochets, we're going to, I would chain 1 here just to give ourselves a little bit of space, and then you're going to single crochet into the side of each stitch down. So we've got 18 rows, and we're going to then therefore end up with 18 single crochet down the side here. And now we've done those 18, we now need to rotate, and we're going to work along this long edge here. So that's our foundation chain that we're going to work back along now. And we're going to work a single crochet in each stitch. That would be the 38 that we began with. Now, because it creates quite a dense fabric, it can be quite a fight to get the stitches in around here, but it is well worth the effort because it will make your bag nice and secure. Once you've completed those 38, you're going to rotate, and we're now going to work along this second short side of rows, and we're going to do another 18 single crochet in there, and then we'll rotate and we will do 38 across this final edge. And so I'll meet you back here when you've done your 18 and your 38. Now that you've completed all the stitches around the base of the bag, that's round 1 complete, and we're ready now to reference to the chart or to the written pattern, both of which are available on my blog or in the PDF, so that we can use the colour coding. So here we're now going to work in continuous rounds. So you see I haven't slip stitched to join here. We're going to start working straight into this next stitch, which is the first stitch of the round. And from now on, if you're going to work a single crochet, which I'll explain to you in the chart in a second, you're going to be doing it in the back loop only. So as you see here, we have a front loop and a back loop. So this is the stitch that we're going to work into. And so I would just work that first stitch and then pop your stitch marker in so that you know, because we're working in continuous rounds, sometimes it can get a bit tricky to work out where your first stitch is. Now we're ready to carry on with round 2. So the chart tells us, as you see, this is now round 2 that we're going to work, and the colour is all the same throughout. So each square is going to represent a single crochet in the back loop only. So all we need to do is work all the way around the bag for rounds 1 to 5. So this part of the pattern is quite easy now. We just need to do a single crochet into the back loop only of each stitch around. So you see from the chart now that we carry on doing this with each of this colour. So the cream colour on the chart is now representing our main pink colour here. We carry on doing that for a number of rounds. So you see now we need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds in your main colour, because every square represents a single crochet in the back loop only. So the background colour that we have here of 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 represents this single crochet in your back loop only. So if you go ahead and work those 5 rounds, and I'll meet you back here and then I'll explain how we change colour and what these little stars mean. Now we've come to the very last stitch of round 5, we're ready to change colour because as you see round 6 starts working in a new colour. So I'm going to complete that stitch, so yarn over and pull through the last stitch of round 5, so you've now got your new working colour ready for you. Now as we carry on working the pattern, you'll see there are some little stars in some of the squares. So I'm going to show you now what those little stars represent. There are lots of different ways that people chart mosaic crochet. I have no idea if this is the correct way. It probably isn't, but to me this made good sense, and to some people that I spoke to it made good sense, so I really hope it does to you too. I apologise if it's not completely technically correct, but it does work. So for round 6, we can see that every stitch is going to need to be in our second colour. But these 2 stars that drop down, because we have a stitch repeat of 7, every 7 stitches are going to be exactly the same as this. The first stitch and the last stitch have got a star drop down into the square below. That is telling us that we need to work a double crochet into the front loop of 2 rounds below. So that sounds really complicated, but actually doing it in practice is much easier than it sounds, as with most things. So what we're going to do, this first one, we have a star, so we're going to drop down a double crochet. So we have this stitch here directly below is for round 5, but we're going to drop our double crochet 2 rounds below into round 4. So that stitch there is going to be our first stitch of the round, and that's a double crochet 2 rounds below. Now, although we have a star in the next stitch, it's the colour, it's the next round's colour, so we don't need to worry about that for this round. So the background colour we now have in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches. So we're going to work 5 single crochet into the back loop only again. And then for the final stitch of this section, we have another star drop down. So that tells us we need to do another double crochet 2 rounds below. So this is the round below of round 5, and then this is round 4. So just pop that double crochet in there. And that's your first set of 7. And you're going to repeat that all the way around the bag. So we have a starred stitch that we drop down, and then we have 5 single crochet in the back loop only, and then a starred stitch, so we drop it down. And that's all there is to that round. So we carry on and we'll do that repeat once more. So a starred stitch to drop a double crochet down, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 single crochet in the back loop only, and then a starred stitch to drop a double crochet down to 2 rounds below. So you can see this is how the mosaic pattern starts to appear. So if you'd like to carry on working that repeats all the way around, and then I'll meet you back and I'll show you how we do the next round. Now we've come to the last stitch of the round. I forgot to say, don't finish if you're changing colour. Don't finish your stitch. I kind of implied it last time, but this is the last dropped down starred stitch of round 6, and we're now ready to change colour to start round 7. So yarn over and pull through to complete the stitch, and now you're ready to start round 7 with the correct colour. So you'll now notice that we have a little bit of a step because we're working in continuous rounds. Now the top of the bag will sort this out, so please don't worry about this at this stage. It will all even itself out and it will look fine. So now we have our colour ready for round 7. We are going to be looking at the chart and we're going to be saying this goldy colour, this background colour here, means we have a gold coloured stitch, whether it's a single crochet or whether it's a double crochet in every stitch of the round. So you need to ignore these lighter stars because they're for the next round. So this is part of this technique of the chart reading. Some people find the charts really tricky to read because you have to read 2 rows at a time essentially. Whereas if you're doing the written pattern, you just have to follow the instructions as they are. But I do know that once people get the concept of chart reading, it seems much easier to them for some reason. So here, for example, on round 7, we are going to be doing a stitch in every stitch of our colour that we have selected. Plus we're going to be dropping down on the 2nd and the 6th because we have a star in those. So to start with, we're going to have a single crochet in the back loop only of the 1st. And then our 2nd stitch, because it's a repeat of these 7, which then makes it nice and easy to remember, we're dropping down to 2 rounds below. And we're doing a double crochet in that front loop of 2 rounds below. Then we have 1, 2, 3 without any drop down stitches. And then a star in the next here. So we drop down a stitch there. And then the 7th stitch of the repeat is just a single crochet in the back loop only. So that's our repeat of 7, and you go all the way around doing that same thing. So we'll go again. So a single crochet in the back loop of the 1st, a drop down stitch, a double crochet into the front loop of 2 rounds below, 3 single crochet in the back loop only, a double crochet 2 rounds below, and then a single crochet in the back loop only. So that's another repeat of the 7. So carry on doing that all the way around, and then before you complete your final stitch, change your colour again. So now I've gone ahead and already started round 8, and you can see that our 7 stitch repeat now on round 8 is this lighter buff colour, which is our yellow we're using here. And you're going to see a star in the 1st, so that means we're going to drop down a stitch, the 3rd, the 5th and the 7th. So we're going to do, that's 1 single crochet in the back loop of the next, which is 2, and then 3 is our 2nd drop down stitch, a single crochet in the back loop only of 4, a double crochet in the front loop of 5, a single crochet in the back loop of 6, and then a double crochet in the front loop for 7. So that's our 7 stitch repeat for round 8. For round 9, I just want to show you this 7 stitch repeat again. So here we have it in blue, but we have this darker mustard yellow here. So we have a drop down stitch in the 2nd, 4th and the 6th. So 1, drop down for the 2, 3, drop down for 4, 5, drop down for 6 and 7. And so that is your 7 stitch repeat for round 9. And that's all you need to know, because the pattern carries on in these 4 rounds here, 1, 2, 3 and 4, all the way up to the top of the bag, which we then work in plain single crochet in the back loop only, again in our main colour. So working your way through the chart or through the pattern, however you prefer to do it, there are 51 rounds for you to complete. And as you see, the top section here is all just plain, there's no stars, so that's just a single crochet in the back loop only of each. So you carry on and complete the top section of your bag. And I'll meet you back here with my original bag to show you how to add the handles and to make the side straps and to create the shaping at the top. The last thing we need to do before we complete our bag is to make the side ties. These are really simple and they're actually really adaptable as well. You can make them as long or as short as you like. I've chosen to keep mine fairly short because I didn't want them flapping around too much, but you can go to town, you can add tassels on the end to them, you can make them really long, dangly, you can have them however you wish, and they're really simple to make. So we make a slip knot on the hook. And then for the length that I've chosen, I chained 41. So when you've completed your 41 chains or however many chains for the length of tie you'd like, all we now need to do is working along in the back bumps to make it a much neater edge on in this front here, working in the second chain from the hook, do a single crochet in each chain along. If you're familiar with foundation stitches and would like to just do a foundation single crochet row, then go ahead. That will work really well too. But I found when I'm using a single strand of yarn here to show you, but when I made the bag itself, I did it with yarn doubled. And I found it quite tricky to do foundation stitches, but maybe that's just me. If you're comfortable with them and you like them, then go ahead and do those. Now that you've completed that row, all we need to do is snip your yarn, and then you're going to need to weave in your ends, and that will be your tie complete. So you need to make 2 of those, and then I'll show you how we attach them to the bag itself. Now that you've made your side ties for your bag, you can slot them through to fasten and make this kind of concertina look at the side. It will sit like this. So you kind of just need to lay your bag out and work out where the middle end is, and then count in however many stitches you would like it to fold in for. So we've got, here we go, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So 10 stitches in, and then it needs to be 10 stitches in the other side too. But then in this middle section you need to loop around the center one that you've got, because then that will pull it in and will allow you to tie around the side. And it will hold it secure for you. Once you've put your side ties on, you'll then be able to work out exactly where you'd like to put your handles. I've set them in this top band section here, but you can put them wherever you like, but I thought they just look quite nice there. So I'll turn this over and we'll put the other one on together. So you need to grab your handle and your threaded embroidery needle and your yarn. I just happen to have this colour in my stash because this is the colour we used for our bunting that we had for our wedding. We made a lot of bunting, so I've got lots of the thread. So now I've already done one on the other side. It's actually quite easy to line it up, isn't it? But if you're starting from scratch, just pick the position that feels comfortable for you, mock the 2 up and see where you'd like it to sit, and then just make sure it's level. It is quite useful that actually it's been worked into the back loop, so you can see at what point you'd like to attach it here. And then I would start from this top here, and they're pre-punched, so it's really useful. Just leave enough to thread through at the back and secure, and just work your way around. Using a back stitch. Now obviously if I wasn't doing this on a video, this would probably be sat on my lap and would be a lot easier for me to do. But just so you get the idea. and then you just follow all along around the edges and then secure really well inside, because this is what's going to be holding the bag handles on. And then your opposite side will come here, and then your bag will be complete. I really hope you've enjoyed the video and the pattern. I'd love to see the version of bag that you create. I think it's really adaptable, and I think you could work different colours and different sequencings and different sizes. You don't have to make it this big. You can make it, as long as you have a multiple of 7, you can do any size of bag you like. So do come and find me, show me your bags, and do subscribe and tap the bell button, as then you'll find out when I release new patterns and tutorials and lots of free stuff over on my blog. Thanks again for watching. Bye.